Welcome and thank you for attending my talk on gluttony, also known as the Gluttony Trio. To be honest, I had this PowerPoint prepared for a week, but I was waiting for ARNEB, or rather the third Gluttonitos, to appear. One thing that annoys me is that a detail about this character was lost when the Gluttony siblings' names were translated in this region of the world. While we know them as Ley, Roy, and Louis, in Japan they are known as Rai, Roy, and Rui. It's a shame that this cleverness was lost during translation. In this video, I'll tell you about their entire story, skills, and the function the author has planned for them after the third season. Nothing is known about the lives of the three Gluttony archbishops until their initial appearance in Season 2. Sanctuary Echidna swears she doesn't know them, but given her history of lying, it's possible she was also lying here. Women. It is established that novels refer to events from 300 years ago, but there is no mention of the Gluttonies. As a result, we cannot say with certainty that they existed 400 years ago. In truth, their first documented appearance is not in side stories, but in the main novel with the attack on Rem. Although their past remains unclear, we do know a few things thanks to their victims. For example, we only know that Ley devoured Dorkel's name and memories because records mention this terrible man among his victims. I do not say devoured an innocent man because, well, Dorkel willingly joined the witch cult, only to be expelled for committing acts so vile that even his fellow cultists were horrified. The details of his crimes remain unknown, though he was granted short-range teleportation abilities. Eventually, Ley found and defeated him. Since his name and memories were consumed, Dorkel's body is most likely still lying somewhere in the world, forgotten by all. We also know that Ley eats Beli Heinelga, a notorious assassin who ranks second only to Elsegran here. Aside from unrivaled physical skill, offensive and defensive, Beli is one of ReZero's few suggested LGBTQ+ characters, due to his unique propensity for only attacking gorgeous guys. His reign ended when Ley defeated him, and his corpse was similarly abandoned. Another casualty was Neji, a gladiator who perfected a powerful palm technique and won the Colosseum's crown. Fun fact, Aldebaran was also enslaved there, albeit in a different era. After gaining independence through wins, Neji caught encounters with Ley, who met the same fate as Dorkel and Beli. Other victims exist, but their stories are too scant to mention. What we do know, Ley is the elder brother, while Roy is the youngest, as confirmed in Arc 6's concluding dialogue. Roy seems to have been dragged into this life by Ley. After absorbing the witch factor, they uncovered a third Gluttony archbishop on a different realm. They eventually manifested this entity, ARNEB, via battle skills. Because Louis could not physically manifest, the brothers gorged on lives to sustain her. This resulted in distinct dynamics in how each person represents gluttony. Ley Batenkaitos exemplifies gourmet gluttony, enjoying only the finest dishes. Roy Alphard exemplifies insatiability, valuing quantity over excellence. Louis ARNEB represents selective satiety by eating only what she wishes. I would elaborate further, but lore is limited. Even author Tappei Nagatsuki finds writing about the archbishop's daily life uninteresting, as their vileness renders acts predictable and empty. Despite their sibling closeness, no canon contacts between Roy and Ley were documented, until a recent novel special depicting a pre-serious chat, which I will discuss next before continuing.
From what we heard, it seems like the Sin archbishops besides us have also come to the town.
Condolences to this town's people then. If it's just us, then that's still something. But if guys like Regulus or Sirius, and even Mother on top of that, have shown up, then hell would be more preferable anyway.
To begin with, us coming together only happened to be the direction of the gospel. By chance anyway, isn't it?
That's right. But a large city's great. Too. How nice. Too. Old and young, and men and women, human and demi-human, as far as the eye goes, it's all up for plucking, Too.
Hey, it's totally pointless to interfere in our ways of eating, so we won't do that. But stop with the nonchalant all-you-can-eat, okay? If not...
We know we do know. If we do it till we're full, then your side of ingredients will disappear is what you want to say, right? We know, but...
First come, first served. Don't say that up against us, would you? Something like that is fruitless for us. Isn't that right? Surely that is right. Certainly that is right. Because that is right. Because that needs to be right. 2. Gluttonous drinking. 2. Gluttony. 2.
That being said, you're aware of who loses out the most when we eat competing together, right?
Yeah, we know. We sure do know. We know, and so we won't. On top of that, we also know who benefits the most when we eat competing together.
That's true too. True. Who will benefit the most other than us? It's...
Haha. That's absolutely intolerable, isn't it? For that horde to be satisfied. That is one thing that just cannot be overlooked other than diet.
Won't let even mother impede on our meal. Meals are important. For we, for us, and for that child as well.
That belongs to us. Oh, that's right. That's indeed right. That's certainly right. 2. That is why we are...
We know. We do know. We indeed know. 2. That is why we are... Why we...
The other sin archbishops.
I sometimes notice uncertainty about the powers of gluttony, so I'll use this section to clarify the distinction between consuming a person's name and their memories. When an archbishop of gluttony consumes your name, the entire world forgets about you, but you can retain your memories. When an archbishop devours your memories, you lose any knowledge of who you are, but the world remembers you. This is exactly what happened to Crush. The worst conceivable fate is to have both your name and your memories devoured by gluttony, leaving you in a same position as Rem. In general, the least bad scenario is to encounter Ley or Lewis, who are picky about what they eat. They might just attack you rather than devour you. But if you run into Roy, you're screwed since he will undoubtedly devour you. An intriguing point to note is that there appear to be specific conditions under which, even if gluttony completely devours you, you can still maintain some degree of independence. This happened to Julius during the 3rd season. Roy purportedly devoured both his name and memory, but for some reason, he only consumed the name and left Julius with his memories. Another interpretation is that he swallowed both, but we still don't know why Julius is still alive. That is up to you to decide. However, you should be afraid of him for more than simply the possibility of losing your name and memories. I believe that gluttony grows stronger with each victim. You see, when the archbishop devours someone, they have complete control of that person's memories and skills. This not only enables gluttony to acquire skills that they were never trained for or even knew existed, but also to apply them with great expertise. If you observe gluttony employing a specific skill, it is likely that it was stolen from someone else. Indeed, the characters listed in the previous section had achieved specific skills, which may have contributed to their status as gluttony's targets. But it doesn't end there. Gluttony's ability to use many mastered talents at once allows for unique combinations. This results in techniques that are unfathomable to the normal person. I won't go into detail about gluttony's talents because it would be a spoiler. Suffice it to say that they take powers from one of the anime's most crucial characters. But if you thought that ability was overwhelming, you haven't heard about the Archbishop's other trump card, a method known as solar eclipse. Although the Archbishops of Gluttony can exploit their victims' powers without this technique, such abilities are enhanced when used with solar eclipse. Teleportation, for example, gains more range in this state, and the damage output of punch-based techniques increases greatly. The same is true for other skills. There is also a further benefit. They can utilize this power to make the converted body absorb injury instead of the Archbishop's original body. Finally, the witch factor possessed by the Archbishops grants them control over beasts. In fact, later in the story, we will see them use this power to corner their enemies. While they can command regular beasts, it seems they are unable to fully control the greater ones, like the white whale, the great rabbit, and the great serpent. They can guide the whale to some extent, but not completely. And when it comes to the serpent, they cannot control it at all. And with that, we wrap up the overview of the Archbishops of Gluttony and their abilities. In terms of power, I would compare them to Capella. The aggregate of their abilities is what makes them strong. One should not concentrate simply on the destructive force of their fists. Remember that this type of assessment is about more than just who is stronger. I believe Gluttony could deal with almost every character in the series except Reinhard and one of his ancestors. I won't go into detail about who this ancestor is, but later on, we'll witness one of the Gluttony siblings try to attack one of the strongest characters in Re-Zero, only to be defeated instantly. So, except from Reinhard and his ancestor, I believe Gluttony could compete with practically anyone in close combat. Perhaps a long-range magic practitioner has a chance, as long as they preserve their distance, and of course remember to disguise their name so that it cannot be swallowed. To be honest, Gluttony has no actual accomplishments. I believe the only thing that might be regarded an accomplishment is that, prior to death, one of them was able to transcend their trauma associated with using solar eclipse. You see, while the solar eclipse technique enabled them to exploit and assume the look of one of their victims, Ley used to avoid doing so. That was because he felt like changing into someone else caused him to lose some of his sense of self. However, in a life or death encounter in the 4th season, we shall see how, with death hovering over him, he overcomes his fear and, as a result, surprises his opponent. It is conceivable that this summary is incomplete, considering Gluttony has returned in the current novel. This implies that some of the material in this video may soon become outdated. But I will attempt to keep everything concise. You know, if I wanted to go into more detail, I'd rather write a comprehensive synopsis. But in this section, I only want to briefly discuss what's going to happen. Following the 3rd season, the Archbishops of Gluttony would briefly vanish. However, because Subaru winds up in the Corridor of Memories, a place that exists outside of the physical plane, he has the unfortunate misfortune of seeing Louise ARNEB, who was born in and currently resides in that dimension for unknown reasons. She would be the one to alert her brothers, Roy and Ley, to come and attack the location where Subaru's group is. Furthermore, Louise ARNEB devours Subaru's memories, which complicates matters. I know a lot more happens, but the purpose of these spoiler sections is to focus on the specifics of what happens in the side stories. What I've been discussing here is something that happens in the main storyline, and I'd rather you find it for yourself, whether by watching the 4th season or reading the novel when you get to this point. The finale to the Gluttony siblings' lifestyle, in my opinion, will be the most interesting aspect of the 4th season. By the end of this season, Ley will be killed by Ram, while Roy will be defeated by the power and soul of Reed Estrella. Then, if there is a 5th season, we will watch Rui ARNEB's redemption journey. She will eventually lose her memories as a result of certain situations, which is ironic given that she has spent so much time stealing other people's. The 5th season will pose an intriguing quandary through Rui ARNEB, whether or not we should condemn someone who has entirely changed and become a different person based on their previous deeds as Archbishop. Honestly, this is a difficult question. Even today, I am unsure how to respond, but I am confident that rereading the section of the work that covers this arc will provide me with a new viewpoint. Finally, after the events surrounding Rui's redemption, it is revealed that the traitor Aldebaran, during his uprising, ends up freeing Roy Alphard, who had been previously imprisoned. It seems this Archbishop is now willing to work under Aldebaran. But tell me, what do you think about Gluttony?